On July 11, 1978, the sun was shining brightly over the Los Alfacs campsite in Alcanar, Spain. The beach was packed with tourists, many of them families from Germany and France, enjoying their summer holiday. The air was filled with the sounds of children laughing, waves crashing, and the general buzz of a perfect vacation day. No one could have imagined that in a matter of moments, this idyllic scene would transform into one of the most horrific disasters in Spain's history. Just before 2:30 in the afternoon, a tanker truck was making its way down the N340 road right next to the campsite. The truck was operated by the company Cisternas Reunidas and was carrying a highly flammable cargo, 23 tons of liquefied propylene. This was a load that significantly exceeded the truck's maximum capacity of 19 tons. The driver had been on the road for hours, driving from a refinery in Tarragona towards a petrochemical company further south. The N340 was a coastal road known for its heavy traffic, especially during the peak tourist season. To save time and avoid tolls, many truck drivers opted for this route instead of the safer A7 motorway. As the tanker approached the Los Alfacs campsite, a combination of factors led to the catastrophe. The truck was overfilled, and the intense summer heat caused the propylene inside to expand, increasing the pressure within the tank far beyond its safety limits. The tank itself lacked a pressure relief valve, a critical safety feature that could have vented the excess pressure and possibly averted the disaster. It's believed that as the truck rumbled past the campsite, the tank wall ruptured. A massive cloud of white gas erupted from the tanker, blanketing the area. Propylene is heavier than air, so the cloud didn't dissipate. Instead, it hugged the ground, flowing directly into the campsite and towards the beach. For a few terrifying seconds, an eerie silence fell as the gas spread. Then it found an ignition source. It could have been a spark from a car, a gas stove in a camper van, or even a lit cigarette. The result was instantaneous and apocalyptic. A massive fireball, estimated to be over 1,000 degrees Celsius, erupted, engulfing the southern half of the campsite. The explosion was so powerful it created a crater 20 meters wide and almost 2 meters deep where the truck had been. Everything in its path was incinerated. Tents, cars, and camper vans exploded like bombs. The blast wave ripped through the area, and the intense heat melted metal and plastic, turning a bustling holiday spot into a vision of hell on earth. The scene was one of utter devastation. Survivors described a deafening roar, followed by a wall of fire. People who were caught in the initial blast had no chance. Many were instantly killed. The fireball swept across the beach and even out over the water. Holidaymakers who were swimming were severely burned. Panic and chaos ensued. People, many of them on fire, ran screaming in all directions, some heading for the sea in a desperate attempt to extinguish the flames. The swimming pool at the campsite became a horrifying scene, as people jumped in only to find the water couldn't save them from their horrific injuries. The first responders who arrived were met with a scene they could never forget. The campsite was a smouldering ruin. The air was thick with the smell of burnt plastic and death. The task of identifying the victims was harrowing. Many were burned beyond recognition. Official records state that 217 people died, including the truck driver. However, the true number is likely higher, as many victims who were initially transported to hospitals later succumbed to their injuries. Over 200 more people were left with severe, life-altering burns. The aftermath was a long and painful process. Investigations were immediately launched to understand how such a tragedy could have happened. The inquiry revealed a cascade of failures. The overloading of the tanker was a clear violation of safety regulations. The lack of a pressure relief valve on the tank was a critical design flaw. The decision to route such a dangerous cargo along a busy coastal road packed with tourists was a catastrophic error in judgment. The company that owned the truck, Cisternas Reunidas, and the company that filled it, Enpetro, were held responsible. 2 executives were eventually convicted of gross negligence and sentenced to prison. The disaster led to major changes in the regulations governing the transport of hazardous materials in Spain and across Europe. New laws were enacted mandating stricter safety standards for tankers, including the mandatory installation of pressure relief valves. Rules for transporting dangerous goods were tightened, and routes were reassigned to keep such cargo away from populated areas. For the survivors and the families of the victims, the scars, both physical and emotional, would never fully heal. The Los Alfacs disaster became a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of cutting corners on safety. It's a story of corporate negligence and regulatory failure, but it's also a story of immense human suffering and loss. Today, if you visit the site, there is a memorial, a wall of stars, with each star representing a life lost on that terrible day. It's a quiet, solemn place that stands in stark contrast to the lively holiday atmosphere of the surrounding area. The Los Alfacs campsite was eventually rebuilt, but the memory of July 11, 1978, hangs over it forever. The tragedy serves as a permanent, chilling lesson that, in the pursuit of profit and efficiency, the cost of overlooking safety can be unimaginably high. It's a lesson written in fire and paid for with hundreds of innocent lives. Thank you for watching. If you found this story important, please like and subscribe for more content.